Assalamu alaikum. I am Khadija Khan from Center for Global and Strategic Studies Islamabad, and you are watching CGSS Bulletin. Dear audience, under the leadership of the Chinese President, His Excellency Xi Jinping, China has envisioned and pursued its status to integrate Asia with Europe, Middle East, Africa via the Belt and Road Initiative. Here, Pakistan plays a very pivotal role given its strategic location, and how China will further solidify this existing relationship and expand further cooperation. So to discuss a few questions like these today, I have the distinct honor and privilege of speaking with the Ambassador of the People's Republic of China to Pakistan, His Excellency Yao Jing. Excellency, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Thank you, Excellency. Excellency, how long have you been Ambassador of China to Pakistan?
Yeah, this month exactly is my 1 year stay here now. I came last November.
Right, Excellency. Excellency, Center for Global and Strategic Studies, one of our main projects is on regional and interregional connectivity. So in this regard, I would like to ask you about the commitment to maintain a close relationship on issues of regional and global importance. Can you please tell us about the cooperation? Sure.
First of all, I thank you for the attention and also the support from the CGSS for the Sino-Pak relationship. And I think I'm very glad to take this interview to elaborate about our bilateral relations. You have mentioned that the Chinese President, Mr. Xi, initiated this Belt and Road Initiative, I think about 5 years ago. And Pakistan, of course, is a leading partner under this kind of initiative. Regarding the connectivity and the regional cooperation, in fact, it is the core of this initiative, because after 40 years development, I think China has been into a position that to contribute to common prosperity and the development of the whole region and the neighborhood. If you look at to the western areas of China, Pakistan occupies a very important position as far as the regional cooperation is concerned. So under the Belt and Road Initiative, in particular with the support and understanding from the two governments and the leaderships, that this CPEC as a part of the Belt and Road Initiative started to play a very important and the pivoting role that in the regional connectivity and the cooperation. Why does China give importance to the cooperation with Pakistan? I think that there are several reasons behind that. First, Pakistan is a long-term partnership and a friend of China. Both China and Pakistan have almost identical views on the regional development, as well as the regional issues like connectivity and cooperation. And the second, that we have full confidence with each other, so that on most of the regional projects or cooperation issues, that both China and Pakistan can cooperate with a full heart. And thirdly, that we have a quite sound foundation and the basics for the cooperation under this initiative. So CPEC, as a part of the Belt and Road Initiative, put China and Pakistan together in mobilizing and advocating for the regional connectivity and the cooperation.
Right, Excellency. So Pakistan and China have a long history and a long withstanding relationship. In a recent joint statement, Pakistan and China agreed to further strengthen this all-weather strategic cooperative partnership and build a closer China-Pakistan community of shared future. What kind of political relationships and strategic communication are we looking forward to? If you can please elaborate on that in context of Chinese foreign policy.
Yes, in fact, since 5 years ago, when the Chinese President, Mr. Xi, came to the office, and he has been advocating a new type of state-to-state relations. This kind of new type of state-to-state relationship, I think from the China's point of view, that we advocate first is mutual respect among the states. Second, that we will hold justice and fairness as the principle of state-to-state relations, and thirdly, that we would like to conduct win-win cooperation among the states. I think that Pakistan was among the first who advocate as well as, echo with these kind of positions on the new type of state-to-state relations. So if you look at China's implementation of foreign policy, Pakistan figures very uniquely among the China's neighborhood policy. For example, this kind of all-weather strategic partnership for cooperation is very unique. Only Pakistan is, I should say, is entitled with this kind of relationship. Second, the China's foreign policy is working for the, we call the mankind, community of mankind of shared future. However, between China and Pakistan, we are going to establish a closer community of shared future because both the nations are living in this neighborhood, and the development, the prosperity, the peace and the stability of this region definitely, I should say, is very relevant for the future of our two nations. So when China and Pakistan, especially after the visit of the new Prime Minister, Mr. Imran Khan, to China in early November, that both the leaders have been convinced that both the countries, both the nations will work together for this new, we call it closer partnership for the community of shared future. I think that this is the direction for the next stage of our bilateral relationship.
Right, Excellency, I agree with you. The leadership's efforts towards regional stability is very commendable. President Xi had shown full confidence in Pakistan by committing to invest more than $60 billion in CPEC. He stressed that Pakistan has a gift of being ahead of everybody else involved in CPEC in the Belt Road Initiative. Could you please tell us more about this?
Yeah, CPEC, in fact, it is an economic initiative. And under the framework of the CPEC, we are talking about almost 40 projects focused on infrastructure and industry cooperation. So I should say that why the Chinese leaders put importance and put a lot of resources on the cooperation with Pakistan as the reasons I have elaborated just now. But right now we also have some economic aspect of this kind of cooperation. For example, Pakistan is a populated country and a large population and I think a very promising future of economic development. Second, Pakistan's very strategic location in this neighborhood, it could play a hub of economic connectivity and economic cooperation among the neighboring countries. And thirdly, I think that everybody, in particular the Chinese government and the people, we have confidence for the future development of Pakistan. So taking into consideration these kind of reasons, China definitely put its confidence and put its trust for the future development of Pakistan and for the future functioning of Pakistan to enhance the overall development of this region.
Right, Excellency, you mentioned trade, investment and financial cooperation, and also Prime Minister of Pakistan Imran Khan's recent visit as well. Prime Minister Imran Khan, he highlighted that Pakistan has an export potential at the recent China's International Import Expo, especially in light of CPEC opening new vistas of opportunities in the region. Could you please explain these opportunities? And during the visit, 15 MOUs were signed. If you can please tell us what areas these MOUs were signed in.
I think that the visit by the Prime Minister Imran Khan of Pakistan to China in the first week of November is very significant. He was working very hard during this visit, trying to convince the Chinese leaders and the Chinese government, as well as the Chinese business community, that Pakistan is a promising venue for the investment and industry cooperation. I think that he elaborated his vision. his priorities and his plan for the future development of Pakistan. And the Chinese leaders and the Chinese government, as well as the Chinese business community, have been convinced by his vision and his efforts. So I think that that is the reason why that a lot of enthusiastic reaction went to the visit. So I think that we have signed about 15 MOUs, agreements, or documents of cooperation during this visit. These kind of MOU or cooperation agreements cover a lot of scopes. For example, we have the agreement on the further agricultural cooperation, because that both China and Pakistan, basically we are agricultural nations. So we are going to have more, for example, transfer of the technologies on the agricultural sector. We will have more joint ventures on the agricultural industries. For example, we have the agreement on the cooperation of the industry and investment cooperation. I think that this is basically both the government will create a favorable or easy for business environment for both the private sectors to have more investment and joint ventures in Pakistan. For example, we have signed agreement on the cooperation in the field of poverty elevation, because both China and Pakistan have very large populations. Some of the people are still living in the poverty, and I think we agree with the vision of the Prime Minister Imran Khan that poverty elevation is a daunting challenge or mission for the two countries. For the past 40 years, China has accumulated some experiences in the poverty elevation, so we would share our experiences and practice with Pakistani government. So this is only several areas of the agreement. I think our cooperation also have reached towards, for example, human resources development, for example, for the cooperation in the health and education sectors. So I think that the outcome or the fruits of the visit have covered vast areas of cooperation. This is all quite promising and new areas for us to explore.
Excellency, with a lot of opportunities also come challenges as well. Would you agree with me that there is a growing anti-CPEC propaganda, and in your opinion, how can we safeguard the CPEC project against such threats?
Yes, I agree with you. There are a kind of propaganda or misinformation about the CPEC, about the Belt and Road Initiative, even I think about China's foreign policy. I think there are two different categories as far as this kind of propaganda. One, I think some people, they really don't understand the nature and also the purposes of the Belt and Road Initiative, or they don't understand China's foreign policy, and also they don't understand that the details of the CPEC cooperation, so that based on their understanding and the judgment, they are going to talk about their own views, and I think this is we call it innocent comments or views on the CPEC. There are a second category, which is I think they have some kind of intentional purposes, because some forces or some countries in the world, they don't want to see a closer cooperation between China and Pakistan. They don't want to see a peaceful rise of China, and they are not happy about the initiatives like CPEC and the Belt and Road Initiative. So I think that we have to deal with these two different categories of the propaganda or understanding of the CPEC. For the first category, I think we have been working hard to share our information, share the details of these CPEC projects. And right now, I think in particular the media plus the think tanks or intellectuals can play a very important role in this regard. So that from our embassy, for example, with the collaboration of your government, we have conducted, we call the study tour or information tour to these CPAC projects. And we are going to have more and more, I should say, shared informations with the older sectors of the people who are interested in this project. For the second categories of this kind of propaganda, when they have a kind of, I should say, intentional purpose against it, I think for the China and Pakistan, these two countries or these two governments, first we should have our own firm confidence on what we are doing together. Second, we should have also that have more, I should say, and have more momentum or have more impetus that for the efforts we are doing now. Because definitely that because this world is so diversified, so complicated. So what we have decided or what we have been doing for the past time, first of all, it should stand firmly within our own mind, within our own heart. When we believe that this is a correct, this is a helpful or useful initiative for both the nations, then both the governments and both the nations should stand together in dealing with this kind of, I should say, ill willingness or something like that. So this kind of propaganda, in fact, demonstrates that what we are doing is right for the two nations. When we see the value of this kind of initiative from our own sides, I think that let them talk or let them do this kind of propaganda. But more importantly is that let's do this project correctly and in a good way. That means that this kind of project should be really deliverable and benefiting for the two countries.
Right, Excellency, I agree with you. It's very important to let people know that it's a very useful project. It's for the growth of the two countries and very important for the region as well. It's very important to create awareness about the socio-economic development, job creation and livelihood acceleration, cooperation in industrial development. You also mentioned that MOU, one of the MOUs was signed for agricultural cooperation. Could you please help me understand about this joint cooperation committee, JCC, and will the process of industrial development of Pakistan accelerate with the special economic zones and industrial parks?
Yes, of course. The JCC is a mechanism under the CPAC initiative between the two governments, China and Pakistan. And the 8th rounds of the JCC meeting will be held on the 19th and the 20th of December in Beijing. Under the CPAC, in fact, we have various mechanisms. For example, we have a planning working group. But that is an overall umbrella. It is chaired by the ministers of plannings from the both sides. But there are several specific working groups, for example, on the development of Gwadar Port, for example, on the development of the infrastructure, on the development of the energy sector, on the development of the special economic zones. I would like to say is that after this new government, in particular led by the Prime Minister Imran Khan, that after the two governments' discussions on that, so we have established a new working group we call the socio-economic sector working group. On this social sector, the first meeting of this working group will be conducted on the same time of the next JCC. Right. So we have identified, I think, almost 6 areas for the social sector. One is the education, second is the health sector, third one is human resources development, fourth is the agricultural sector, fifth is the poverty elevation, and the last areas will be, I think, in the social, like cultural and social works, something like that. Right. So that this is a new area, plus the previous 4 areas. I think this is a thorough or composite establishment for the cooperation. Under this kind of working groups, we have experts, we have the participation of a lot of, I should say, think tanks, experts or intellectuals or these study groups. So it is not only a government-to-government setup. In fact, we have already invited a lot of input from the social sector, from the intellectuals, from the society. So I think that the JCC meeting is going to be further broadened and expanded. So we call that right now the next stage of the CPEC is the stage of broadening and expansion. And I believe that right now both the governments are preparing for the next JCC, and a lot of new phenomena or new projects under the CPEC will come.
Right, Excellency, speaking of broadening and expansion, let's talk about regional cooperation. The SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which has traditionally been dominated by China, and with the inclusion of India and Pakistan, SCO to SCO, it has brought new challenges and opportunities. SCO has not emphasized on building a military bloc, but given the saliency of terrorism in the region, can we say that intelligence sharing and further military cooperation will gain traction?
Yeah, first of all, I think that SCO is a community of 8 nations. China has never been dominating it, I think, but China gives a lot of importance to the development of SCO. And last year, China hosted the summit of the SCO with the first ever inclusion of 2 new members, Pakistan and India. For the SCO, in fact, we believe that under this kind of framework, we have 2 priorities. One, security. Second is development. And these 2 priorities or 2 areas are like the wheels of a cart. If the cart or if this vehicle have to move forward successfully, these 2 wheels should be equally strong. With the inclusion of the new members like India and Pakistan, I think that this is the strengthening of this mechanism. First, that the areas or the covered by SCO has been vastly extended. Second, the population, huge population, almost 1/3 of the global population are included. And thirdly, the scope of cooperation also has been expanded. And finally, I think that by increasing a kind of diversification, we have better cooperation and understanding of this region. So I think that it is a good thing and development. For the cooperation, you mentioned like in the military sectors or in the, for example, in the security sectors, I think the SCO has already have a very existing mechanisms of military-to-military exchanges, of cooperation in the counterterrorism sectors, and the cooperation against this kind of, for example, extremism and separatism. So we have already a lot of existing mechanisms and treaties under the SCO. I think that after the inclusion of India and Pakistan as new members, basically they are joining these kind of existing mechanisms instead of creating a new model or a new pattern of cooperation. No, there's no new patterns. So I think that the SCO, after inclusion of these 2 new members, in fact, SCO is ready to provide a bigger, a more, I should say, functional platform for the neighboring or for the neighborhood to conduct cooperation in the areas of security and development. Right. And it could be a better platform for the service of these kind of purposes in this region.
Right, Excellency, speaking on the topic of security cooperation, for the first time in China-Pakistan relationship, President Xi extended a special invitation to the Chief of Army Staff of Pakistan, General Qamar Javed Bajwa, to discuss cooperation on regional security environment and way forward. What is the way forward on defense and security and counterterrorism cooperation against the 3 evils, separatism, terrorism, and extremism?
I think, you have noticed in this September, the President Xi, under special invitation, that they had a very important meeting in Beijing. I think this is first, it is a recognition by the Chinese top leaders for Pakistani armies, I should say, great contribution towards the peace and stability of this region. And the second, this is also a recognition from the Chinese government for Pakistan's army, for their contribution for the peace and the stability, like fighting against terrorism. And thirdly, this is a demonstration of the China's top leader, their determination that to work with Pakistan army as well as the Pakistan whole government, that for future cooperation in maintaining the peace and the stability of this. So I think that right now, and China's vision for this region, for example, a better connectivity among the neighboring countries, for example, a better cooperation and development for the whole people of the neighborhood. I think that this peace and stability is the fundamental condition. Without peace and stability, that this kind of development, this kind of prosperity won't be possible. So, in fact, China is reaching out to cooperate with old partners, and in particular with Pakistan, that because we believe through the cooperation, through the coordination, we can and we are able to achieve a kind of stability and a kind of security for the joint development and the joint prosperity. I think that this is the signal we give towards the region, and this is also the signal that China will contribute for this direction.
Right, Excellency. Excellency, thank you so much for giving us an insight on Pak-China relationship. It was an honor to be interviewing you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you again for the CGSS, for your great attention to China-Pak relations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dear audience, I hope the interactive session with His Excellency Yao Jing, Ambassador of the People's Republic of China to Pakistan, was very informative for you all. In the backdrop of the speculations and apprehensions, Pakistan and China are making strides to further strengthen the ties and prospects for the region, peace and stability. CPEC, flagship project of Belt Road Initiative, has added a new dimension to Pak-China relationship. And those who oppose BRI and CPEC shall never succeed nor stop the initiation of peace and stability, not only for China and Pakistan, but for the region as a whole. Thank you so much.